I asked 334 backpackers what stove beginners should buy. And the results were kind of all over the place, because the most recommended stoves weren't all solving the same problems. Some were picked because they're cheap, some because they're proven, some because they're ultralight, and some just because they make life easier. So today I'm going to show you the 5 most recommended stove picks from the survey. We're going to talk about why people pick them, and why the most popular answer still might not be the best answer for every beginner. And just so we're clear right from the start, I'm not trying to tell you what to buy. I don't think of myself as some guru. I'm just a guy trying to take a bunch of real backpackers' responses and make them useful for people who are actually new, because those are 2 very different things. And with stoves, I think the internet gets it wrong more than people realize. If you're new here, I'm Ricky, and this is your trail buddy. And on this channel, I try to make backpacking feel a whole lot less overwhelming, especially if you're just trying to get started. This video is part of my beginner gear survey series, where I've been asking backpackers what they recommend, what they regret buying, and what they actually think beginners should use. And one of the most important things I noticed again in the survey is this. Most of the people who keep answering the survey aren't beginners. A lot of them had years of experience. A big chunk of them have a lot of nights out on trail. And based off of the demographic charts, the audience skews a little older. So why does that matter? Because experienced backpackers often answer a question like this very differently than somebody who's just trying to figure out if they even like the sport. Experienced hikers often think, what's the lightest thing that actually works? What do I trust after years of use? And what would I buy now if I was starting over? But a beginner is usually asking something much simpler. What's the easiest thing that won't make me hate this? And those are not always the same answer. Here's what makes stoves interesting. A backpack can be a little heavier and still work. A tent can be a little basic and still work. But a stove? A stove can technically be good and still be a terrible experience for a beginner. If it's tippy, if it's frustrating in the wind, if it feels sketchy with a bigger pot, if it takes forever, if it's annoying to light, or if the whole system just feels fiddly, that can make a beginner feel like they're doing something wrong. And that matters more than people think. Because when you're new, you're not just buying gear. You're buying confidence. You're buying simplicity. You're buying your first good experience. And sometimes the lightest option is not the best option for that. So let's get into the survey data. Coming in at number 5, JetBull. And honestly, this makes a ton of sense, because JetBull is probably one of the most beginner-friendly answers in the list. Not because it's the lightest, not because it's the cheapest, but because it makes the whole cooking process feel easier. And that's a big thing. It's more of a system. It feels simple. It feels stable. It boils water fast. And for a lot of beginners, that matters a whole lot more than shaving a few ounces. If somebody's brand new and mostly wants boiled water for coffee, oatmeal, freeze-dried meals, ramen, and that kind of thing, then JetBull is really easy to understand. And there's value in that. Now the downside is pretty obvious. It's heavier, it's bulkier, and it's usually not the cheapest path. So this is one of those recommendations that says, I want this beginner to have an easy time. And I actually respect that a lot. At number 4, the Soto Windmaster. This one's a classic, because when people recommend the Windmaster, they're usually recommending performance, better wind handling, more confidence, a more refined stove, something that feels a step above the cheap little burners. This is one of those stoves that people recommend when they've used a few things and they've figured out what annoys them. And that's important, because this is where experience starts showing up in the data. A beginner might not know yet why wind performance matters. They might not know yet why some stoves feel more stable. They may not know yet why people are willing to spend money on something that just works better in real conditions. But experienced hikers know. So the Windmaster ranking this high in the survey makes sense to me. I wouldn't call it the cheapest beginner answer, but I would call it one of the most trusted. At number 3, Fire Maple. And this one's really interesting because Fire Maple showed up in a bunch of different ways. Green Peak, Petrol, Hornet, Fixed Star, torch, even full cook systems. So this wasn't just one exact stove dominating. This felt more like people saying, if you want a more budget-friendly system that still gives you decent performance, then look at Fire Maple. That's why I think this one did well. It sits in that very appealing middle ground. Not the cheapest junk, not the most premium, but often a pretty approachable value. And for beginners, value matters a lot, because a lot of people in the survey still believe a full beginner's kit should stay a reasonable price. So when people recommend something like Fire Maple, I think what they're really saying is, hey, maybe you don't need to spend top dollar to get something that works. And that's a very beginner relevant message. At number 2, the BRS 3000T. And this one's where things get really interesting. Because if you ask a lot of experienced backpackers which stove is ridiculously light, incredibly cheap, and good enough for simple boil-only cooking, the BRS is going to come up a lot. And I get why. It's tiny. It's dirt cheap. It saves weight. And for a lot of people, it works just fine. But this is also where I think the survey starts to reveal something bigger. Because the BRS might be one of the clearest examples of why a stove can be great for a certain type of beginner, and not a great answer for another. If you're already leaning lightweight, you're careful, you understand its limitations, and you mostly boil water in fair conditions, then sure, I get it. But if you're a total beginner, trying to cook your first meal, still figuring out pot size, stability, wind, fuel use, and all of that, I don't think the lightest answer is automatically the best answer. And this is the kind of nuance that gets lost online. Because a lot of people hear popular ultralight stove and assume that that means best beginner stove. But I don't think it always does. Sometimes good enough and super light is not the same thing as easy and confidence building. And the number 1 stove family from the survey was the MSR Pocket Rocket. The original Pocket Rocket, Pocket Rocket 2, and the Pocket Rocket Deluxe. Grouped together, it came out on top. And honestly, this makes a ton of sense. Because the Pocket Rocket sits in a really interesting sweet spot. It's light enough, it's trusted, it's simple, it's widely known, which makes it easy to recommend. And unlike some super minimalist options, it feels a little bit more like real, dependable gear from day one. And that's why I think it won. It's not the absolute lightest, it's not the cheapest, and it's not the most luxurious. But it may be the easiest stove for experienced backpackers to recommend without feeling like they're steering a beginner too far wrong. I think it ends up feeling like the safe answer. And a lot of times, the safe answer wins surveys. But we still need to talk about the catch. The catch is not that the Pocket Rocket is bad. The catch is that most recommended is not always the same thing as best first choice for every beginner. Because people are recommending from their own experience. And experience changes how you answer. Once you've backpacked for years, it's easy to say, just get the good little canister stove. Just buy the trusted one. Just go lightweight, or just boil water. But beginners are usually dealing with a different reality. They're trying to build a whole kit. They don't know yet what style of backpacking that they'll stick with. They may end up caring more about simplicity than weight. They may camp in easy conditions. They may only go a couple times a year. They may end up wanting a full system instead of a bunch of separate pieces. So the number 1 stove in the survey might be answering this question. What stove do experienced hikers trust? But the beginner may be asking, what stove will make my first few trips feel easy? And those are different questions. And I think that distinction is the whole video. Here's what I think this survey actually tells us. Beginners don't all need the same stove. And this is one of those categories where you can't just say one stove is the answer and be done with it. Because the right stove might depend on what kind of beginner you are. So after looking at all this, I still think there's 3 types of beginners. Beginner type number 1, you're testing the hobby. This is the person who doesn't even know yet if backpacking is going to be something real in their life. For this person, low risk matters. That means cheap enough not to hurt, simple enough not to frustrate them, and good enough to get them outside. This is where something like a budget stove, a Fire Maple option, Maybe even a careful chosen BRS setup, or even borrowing gear can make a lot of sense. The goal here is not perfection. The goal is getting out there without overspending. Beginner type number 2, the committed beginner. This person has either gone a couple times, knows they like it, or already feels pretty sure that they're going to keep doing it. This is where something like the MSR Pocket Rocket makes a lot of sense. It's reliable, it's simple, it's trusted, and it's not overcomplicated. This is probably the broadest category with the most people in it, and it's probably why the Pocket Rocket won. Beginner type number 3, buy once, cry once. This person has the budget, they've done the research, and they already know that they care about better performance, better wind handling, or a more refined setup. This is where something like the Soto Windmaster makes a lot more sense. And for some people, even an integrated system like JetPool might still make more sense if convenience matters more than weight. So again, there's no real right answer for everyone, but there are better answers for different types of beginners. So I'm not making this video just to say, here's the stove that everybody should buy. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to add context. Because I think beginners need more context and less dogma. Less of this is the only answer that works. And less pretending that there's one perfect setup for everybody. What I care more about is helping somebody make the right decision for their situation. That's it. Because a beginner who buys a slightly heavier stove and actually enjoys their trip is in a much better spot than the beginner who buys the internet favorite ultralight stove and has a horrible time. So if I had to give one simple rule after looking at this survey, it'd be this. Don't choose your stove based only on weight. Choose it based off of how easy you want your first trip to actually be. That's the rule. If you're going full ultralight and you know what you're doing, okay, then that changes things. But if you're new, simplicity and confidence matters a whole lot more. Sometimes more than saving every ounce. So let's recap the 5 most recommended stoves from the survey. Number 5, JetPool. Number 4, the Soto Windmaster. Number 3, Fire Maple. Number 2, the BRS 3000T. And number 1, the MSR Pocket Rocket. And honestly, I think that list tells a pretty useful story. Experienced backpackers are not recommending the same kind of backpacking experience. Some are prioritizing ease, some are prioritizing value, some are prioritizing low weight, and some are prioritizing long-term trust. And that's why I think the comments on this thing are probably gonna be really interesting. So now I wanna hear from you. If you're a beginner, what stove are you looking at right now? And if you've been backpacking for years, what stove do you recommend for beginners? And more importantly, what kind of beginner is it right for? Because I think that's the better question. And if you want to be a part of this survey project, it's still open. I'm keeping it open for a full year. And at 6 months, I'm going to give away some gear to a select few who've answered the survey. And between those videos, I'll be doing more videos like this, sharing the information from the survey. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. As always, I really hope this is useful, and hopefully I see you guys out on the trail.